So how do you close the closer? It's interesting. People get it tense. They're a closer. They're the salespeople. How do you sell a salesperson? It's much easier than you think. Don't let it get into your head. What if they notice the close? What if they have more experience? What if they have better skills? What if it's hard? It is not that way. Sure, they might have more experience. Maybe they are better in persuasion, influence, and sales. It doesn't matter. You've heard this before. The easiest person to sell is a salesperson when you do it the right way. Let's talk about some skills you need to be using to close the closer. Sell the salesperson. And that's basically everybody, because we all sell for a living. We all persuade, we all motivate, we all must influence. Let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Welcome to podcast 572. Kurt Mortensen here for Maximize Your Influence. Hope things are going well. You're becoming more persuasive, more influential, better with your EQ, reading people, understanding people, and the key, learning how to persuade people how they want to be persuaded, learning to sell them like they like to be sold. That is the key. Times have changed, sales have changed. Hey, a lot of those tools that used to work no longer work. And that's what it used to be. You went from A to Z. This is my company. This is what we do. And you had a nice, clever close, and it usually worked. Now, we're almost to the point where I don't even want you closing anymore. How you open them up, how you discover their wants and needs is going to take you much further than a clever close. But we like to use the word close to closers. That's what we're talking about today. But let's start off with the persuasion blunder.
Don't!
So I was monitoring this sales situation. They didn't know I was monitoring it. The upper management did, but I was watching, I was monitoring it. They were going to go sell someone who had a lot of skills, a lot of experience, a lot of clout, expensive education. Everybody knew who they were, multi-millionaire. Anyway, this poor salesperson got stuck in the mind game. What if I blow it? What if I can't do it? You know, they're putting him on a pedestal. No. They got into this mind game. He hadn't even met this person before, and he was already in a downward spiral, which of course affected the whole sales process. Remember, salespeople are easier to sell, especially when you do it the right way. Millionaires are easier to persuade than the average person. You're like, what? What do you mean? Because people get all tense. Well, they're wealthy, they're successful. Good, that makes it easier. Now, it might be hard to get in front of that person. All right, they're busy, they're surrounded by people doing stuff for them. They're always delegating. So give it to you, they are harder to get in front of. But I've had successful people do it all the time. All right, sell me, persuade me. What do you got? Got 10 minutes. So you might not get all the time you want. They might be harder to get in front of, but they're easier to persuade, sell, and influence. So the blunder is getting stuck in that mind game, planting the seeds that it's going to be hard. They won't listen. You're going to be exposed. They're more successful. They have more money, whatever it is. Don't plant those seeds, because those seeds of doubt will grow into trees of fear, and it becomes that downward spiral when they're people just like you, and they're easier to sell, easier to persuade than the average person. And that's going to be our content for the day. We'll be talking a lot about that, but let's get into the geeky Scarly article. Basically, employees who spot problems help the bottom line. So why do leaders give more power to bootlickers? Have you heard that term? Ingradiators, bootlickers, brown nosers. They go on to talk about bootlickers versus boat rockers. All right, so the bootlickers get empowered. The boat rockers many times are seen as a threat. So this was in the Journal of Applied Psychology, University of Oklahoma, Purdue, Texas A&M, North Carolina State University, and the University of Hwazhong. So they wanted to take a look at leaders and why leaders prefer to empower employees who offer supportive voices. Praise, encouragement, good idea. So the leaders like them, empower them, but then you get those who are the challenging voice, pointing out the problems, looking around corners, pushing back on decisions, playing the devil's advocate. They don't get that power. And I'll add too, they probably don't even get the promotions. Now, as a leader, that's beneficial. Now, we all know why the leader loves the person that says, oh, good job, praise, encouragement, and gradation, boost to the self-esteem. Who doesn't like that? But when someone's truly a leader, you don't want all these people saying, yes, yes, great idea. That's the cause of pretty much every failure business ever, is no one says, oh, what about this? Did you think about this? Let's look around the corners. Let me play devil's advocate here, pushing back on decisions, pointing out problems. That's what you need as a leader. That's what you need in business. If everyone agree with you because you're the manager, you're the boss, then bad things could happen because you can have a bad idea. You want people to push back. So they looked at 143 professionals. They gave them surveys to measure how often employees raised concerns, that challenging voice, or offered praise, the supportive voice, and how leaders responded with the empowerment and how they gave them extra power, like, for example, delegating authority. So you had the supporters, the ingradiators, and you had the ones with the challenging voice. This is what they found out. Leaders were less likely to empower employees with that challenging voice. They saw it as a threat to their authority, but then the supportive voice increased empowerment, and it showed the leaders that they were aligned with their goals. So in both studies, the boat rockers, the challengers, received less delegation, but the bootlickers, the ingradiators, the supporters, gained more power. Now, they did find when the challenging voice, if you are that challenging voice, when that challenging voice was a good worker, they assisted with workloads, they buckled down during those tough times, were also empowered just as much because it wasn't just the negative voice. That leader knew that they could count on them. And when they could count on them, they didn't feel as threatened. So again, challenging voice, identifying issues with corporate strategy, questioning leadership decisions, suggesting other ideas, other alternatives, maybe it won't work out. Then the supportive voice was all about the encouragement. That's a great idea, good initiative. The leaders liked that and would give that person more power, would delegate more. So what do we do with this? Well, if you're a manager, you're a leader, try to empower the boat rockers. Don't take it personally. It's nice to get some praise, but if you want to be successful in business, you have to have the boat rockers. You have to have the ones that challenge you. I mean, if you want to do it the right way, you probably should do both and pick the right times to do each one. So there you have it. The boat rockers and the bootlickers. The bootlickers always seem to win, but if you really want to be successful in business, you want to be a good leader, you have to listen to the boat rockers. They're very valuable to you. Again, nothing is worse than having a team of people that always say yes, that love your ideas. You're the best. It's always going to work out. Like I said before, that is the cause of almost every business failure ever. That is our geeky scholarly article that'll be posted at maximizeyourinfluence.com along with your free Persuasion IQ assessment and the special of the week. Also, if you're not on our email list, that's a place to subscribe. That takes us to listener email.
Oh boy!
Remember, if we use your email or anything on the podcast, you get a free membership of InfluenceUniversity.com. Home of our 52-week mastery program. This is from LK from Croatia. Love Croatia, been there. Kind of a hidden gem there in Europe, the Adriatic Sea area. And this is the content of the show. It says, Kurt, thanks for the podcast. I am persuading with power. That's awesome, LK. It says, Kurt, I get intimidated when I persuade and sell older people, more successful people. What can I do? Now, the first one here is going to be mindset. I talked about this. It's easier to close a closer. It's easier to sell a salesperson. It's easier to persuade a millionaire. You just have to do it the right way. They appreciate it when you do it the right way. So get it out of your mind. They wear pants just like you do. They have to eat just like you do. So you've got to be in the right space. Remember the study that when you feel influential, you are more influential. So don't think about all the negative, bad things that could happen. Visualize the success. Visualize the close. Visualize them signing the paperwork. Whatever you need to do, get in the right state. Get past your fear. Get excited. You have an opportunity to close the closer. They'll appreciate it. It's easier. So that's number one thing. Get in the right state. Work on your mindset. And realize they're human just like you. In fact, you want to get ahead of the game, just be more prepared. Do research on them, on their company. Know the answers to the questions. Know your product or service. Know the competition. The more prepared you are, the fear will erode away. The more prepared you are, your chances of success go up. The more prepared you are, you're going to have more confidence, and you're going to know that you're ready. And when you know that you're ready, again, that fear erodes away. So these are techniques you can use on anyone, but I've kind of put them aside to help close the closer, close a professional, close someone that hears salespeople all day long, because these techniques work. Here's one. Assume the sale. You're using presuppositions, you're talking, you're presupposing like they've done it. All right, when we get into the meeting, when we solve this problem, when you install this software, all assumes, all presupposes they're going to do it. You're going to love how this car handles in the mountains, presupposes they're going to buy the car. So use verbiage, language, implies it's a done deal, helps them visualize themselves doing it, rather than saying maybe, if, hopefully. Use stronger language, assume the sale. So do you want to take delivery this week or next? Now, there's a little cheesy factor there if you do it at the wrong time or too soon, but this just helps people visualize and feel that it's a done deal. Assume the sale, use presuppositions. Remember, your goal here as you start persuading, start influencing, start selling is to get the easiest yeses first. Then every yes you get, the next yes becomes easier and easier and easier. Now, part of being professional here too is you need to recap. You need to do a summary. This is assuming you're not one and done in your sales process, in your negotiation, whatever you're doing. You've got to get them back into the state, back under the ether, as they say, and summarize things that you've agreed upon. Summarize what they know. You're recapping the benefits, the agreements, the yeses, takeaways, next steps. So you want to do this at the end of any sales presentation. Just kind of recap and cover it. This is what's going. This is the next step. This is the takeaways. This is what we're doing. But if you're going to a second, third, fourth meeting, don't just launch right into it. Review, because I guarantee what they remember and what you remember are two very different things. In fact, if you're working with somebody that maybe remembers things differently than you do, make sure you send an email the night after that meeting, giving a summary, recapping this is what's happening, this is what's going on. So you've got proof, it's there, it's in an email. While everyone's memory is fresh, you could always go back and review that. So always recap at the end of any presentation. Again, takeaways, the next step, the next meeting, whatever you need to do. But if you're going to a second or third meeting, get them in the zone, get them under the ether, summarize the yeses, the excitements, the benefits, the agreements. Makes all the difference in the world. That shows that you remember, that shows that you're professional. That's another way to close the closer. Now, this next one's abused, overused, but it doesn't matter if you're in sales or not. Scarcity, urgency is critical. You have to put a deadline. There has to be a time-sensitive offer. There has to be some type of urgency or reason to make a decision. Now, when you do this right, this can increase your sales by over 25%. But here's the big difference. It's not just the average person, oh no, sale ends today. This is somebody that also uses scarcity and urgency. So how does it work better for a closer, for someone that sees it all the time, for someone that uses it all the time? First thing, you have to give them a reason. Why does the sale end today? Why is this offer only good for 2 weeks? Why do you only take 3 people a month? You let them know why. Don't just tell them, let them know, well, your schedule only allows you to get 3 people. Hey, our supply chain, this is happening. I can only guarantee these prices for 2 weeks. Let them know why. Give them the reasons. Very important. Also, and this is for anybody, make sure it's believable. I mean, you're always telling the truth, but sometimes you're like, wait a minute, that's the last one left of my size? Really? If I come tomorrow, the sale won't be here? Right? It has to be believable. So give them the why, the reasons, make sure it's believable. And for the closer, or anybody, but especially the closer, buffer that scarcity with some type of reward. So, hey, offer's good for a week, but if you do it before that week, I'll double this, I'll triple this, I'll add this, I'll extend this, I'll do this. Put a little reward to it. So it's not just FOMO, scarcity, urgency, oh no, gotta do it now. There's also a little reward built in for you to do it right now. Then with the pro, I would use a story, a relevant story. Remember, stories persuade without detection. So if you tell a story of somebody else in a similar situation that had the same challenges, the same objections, wasn't quite sure, they went ahead with it, this is what happened, that's a power tool. Become a great storyteller. I'm telling you, logic fires up a couple parts of the mind. You tell a story, it lights up the whole brain. They are engaged, they're involved, they're listening, they put themselves in the situation. It puts them in a mental trance, makes them easier to persuade. That's the power of a story. If you don't have time for a story, maybe you don't think it's appropriate, at least have some type of social validation. A testimonial of somebody in the same situation that did it. You don't have to go into the whole story, just a quick testimonial. Man, this alone could pop your sales by 15, 20%. Using good social validation, having good stories, that is also another key. Now, another one to add here is be the expert. Get accepted as the expert. Have somebody recommend you. Say they're the person, they're the expert, they're the best at what they do, they're the top of their field. Borrow credibility from somebody else. Have them introduce you, recommend you. Use that authority, use that expertise. Have somebody tell them about your credentials, whatever you need to do. Just think about it. When you're accepted as the expert, someone else has tooted your horn. You are the expert. There's very little resistance. Now, if you don't have anybody to do that, send an email, a recommendation, a plug, an introduction. If you don't have that, I get it. That's best case scenario. Next one would be after introductions, in the first, let's say at least 5 minutes, teach them something new, something different, something unique about your area, your expertise. Then you can come across as the expert. But it's got to be in that first, 4 or 5 minutes that you are proving your worth. And final one, be more likable, build rapport, find common ground, find something unique, use your people skills. You know the drill. Now you still need to get that expertise and build the trust, but be more likable, especially salespeople. When you're like them, you're a fellow salespeople, there's some type of similarities, you've done your research. You're not doing the old school, wow, there's a fish on your wall. Do you fish? Yeah, no, not that stuff. Find out stuff about them, things you can talk about, things you have in common, similarities, be more likable, use your people skill, crank up your smile, learn to mirror and match, be that supportive voice like we talked about earlier. This might be a time for a little boosting the self-esteem, a little gradation, a little smiling, a little boosting of the mood. This is another one that can make a big difference with anybody, but especially when you're closing the closer. So there you have it. That's podcast 572. Thanks for being here. We're on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Audible. Tell your family and friends and enemies about the podcast. Go to MaximizeYourInfluence.com. Hit me up at Kurt, K-U-R-T, at MaximizeYourInfluence.com. Or even go to influenceuniversity.com/special. We're going to continue that. That's the lifetime membership. No more monthly fees. You get the lifetime membership. This is the archive. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. You can get my audiobooks, the videos, the reports, the persuasion software that persuades for you. all in one spot. Check it out. But don't get intimidated. Get excited. You're going to close the closer. Remember, they're easier to close. Get in that right mindset. Use the tools we talked about today. Become more influential. Become a better salesperson. Become a better negotiator. And go out and persuade with power.